Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you all to rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
Present.
Here.
Here.
Here. Okay, tonight is the first night of a public meeting in a long time. We are practicing social distancing, as you can see. Notations to exits are in the front and the rear. Because of the limited amount of space that we have, I'm going to ask at this point in time now, we have 3 items on the public hearing. Bear Hill, commercial shooting ranges, park and advisory board. Now, I got to ask Lori. If someone is not here for Barrett Hill and I need room, I will ask someone to voluntarily get up and just step outside until the Barrett Hill is over so we can continue with the public hearing. If not, this would all be for naught, and I don't want that to happen. There's still one seat over there, right? There's one there, so we still have room. So we'll start. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing, waive the reading of it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would the Bear Hill representative come to the mic? Now, when you come to the mic, we're asking you not to touch the mic. If you touch it and you want to touch it, there's a paper towel there to do it so the next person can use a different paper towel. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Speak to the event if you would, please.
Yes, my name is John.
Can you hear pretty well? I mean, we can't do too much better.
Can I take this off?
Yeah, no. Only because if you sneeze or something.
Sure. My name is John Bainlardi. I'm with Wilder Balter Partners for the applicant Barrett Hill Associates. This is a public hearing, as you indicated, in connection with an extension of a special permit granted by this board in December of 2017 for a 168-unit multifamily workforce housing community in an MFWF floating zone. That approval was granted in 2017. In 2019, we requested the extension. Subsequent to the grant of the special permit, we were sent back to the planning board to secure final site plan approval. We appeared back before the planning board, and the planning board asked us to proceed to secure our approval from the DEP on our SWIP. That took some time to achieve because the regulations had changed, but we did secure that SWIP approval in August of 2019, and at that time returned back to the board and the planning board and requested this extension. When we did appear before your board in the fall, an issue which had come to light earlier in 2019 regarding water capacity issues with the Mount Nebo water system was discussed. And your board determined, with consultation of your planner, that this public hearing should take place. Seeker should be opened for the limited purpose of reviewing the water capacity issues. Since the fall, we have continued to work with New York American Water, which owns the Mount Nebo water system, which would serve the Barrett Hill project and also serves a number of other existing users. In September, we had provided a letter from WSP, which is the hydrogeological consultant for Mount Nebo water, that confirmed at that time that they had worked through their capacity issues by going through a redevelopment of the existing wells, and that they had achieved capacity necessary to serve the existing users with the maximum
Okay,
demand.
if you just hold up a second. Mr. LaPerche, you have to take a seat with, there's one right up here with a white tag on it. You can sit there, or one over there. Sorry, sir. Keep your mask on the entire time, right? Okay, go ahead, sorry.
No worries. So that letter is in your package. Also in your package, your submission is a cover letter from our planning consultant, which sets forth the procedure here and includes the site plans, which were originally the basis of your special permit approval, as well as letters from WSP, the one I just mentioned, as well as an additional letter dated June 3rd, which confirms that an additional test well has been drilled after obtaining the necessary permits, and that test well demonstrates a capacity of approximately additional 75 gallons a minute. The letter also confirms the following. That New York American Water's well redevelopment program successfully resulted in restoration of water capacity to serve the existing Mount Ebo users, meeting the maximum day water demand of 164,000 gallons per day, which equates to 113.9 gallons a minute. And they've done this with the best well out of service and with a resultant surplus of 20.6 gallons per minute, which is available to serve Barrett Hill. Additionally, it confirms that a new well number 12 has been drilled, which produces an additional 75 gallons per minute. The max daily demand for Barrett Hill is 27 gallons per minute. This equates to about almost 39,000 gallons per day. And that is 2 times the average design demand for Barrett Hill. And then finally, it confirms that the combined maximum day demand for both the existing Barrett Hill users plus Barrett Hill is 140.9 gallons a minute. That's 113.9 gallons a minute for the existing users, maximum actual demand, and the 27 gallons per minute for Barrett Hill. And that the combined capacity of the Mount Ebo water system with the new well, number 12, out of service, that's 75-gallon well out of service, is 179.5 gallons a minute, which means that there is an excess capacity of 39.5 gallons a minute, again, with the best well out of service, to serve the existing users and the Barrett Hill project.
Now, through no fault of the town, when did this process start with Barrett Hill? How long? Just so the public has an idea, this is not your first appearance before the board.
Oh, sure. So the actions before this board, which the board was lead agency for under SEQR, was twofold. One was to...
Okay, but when? Just give me the date, approximately. 2 years?
Yes. So, well, the approval was granted in December of 2017.
Okay.
So we would have been before your board during that.
I just want people to know, I mean, we don't really have a lot of questions because we've been through this numerous times. We've had a past public hearing, and it was advised we have another one once the testing was all done, which is the purpose of your appearance.
Yes.
So basically, 2.5, 3 years ago, you were in front of the board, and it's just an update, and we're looking to possibly approve a special permit for the next meeting.
Correct.
Okay, we'll take public comment on this subject at this time. Okay, seeing no public comment, because of the circumstances, we're going to request that we keep the public hearing open for any written comment for 10 days, and it'll be on the next agenda for determination by the town board, which will be the, let's see, what's today, the 9th?
23rd.
23rd, is it? The 23rd. It'll be scheduled to be put on for vote by the town board.
Okay.
So the motion is to extend the public hearing for 10 days in writing, and we'll have an appearance at the next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
May I ask questions? It's a public hearing, but may I
Okay.
ask questions?
Yeah,
Actually,
you could have, okay.
what do you mean I couldn't?
Well, I asked if there was any questions,
Yes, public comment.
but you're public. You're saying you're public. Go ahead.
Thank you. Actually, are we just looking to do an extension of the special permit, or were there other matters involved? Your memos,
So the project was going through the process back in 2017. They received their special permit approval from the town board. It was referred to the planning board for site plan approval. There was some delay because of some coordination with DEP. And during that time period, the special permit expired, such that the planning board was unable to grant site plan approval because the special permit had expired. Also during that time, back in late 2019, as a result of another application, it was discovered that there was insufficient water to support this project. So that's what was just discussed. And during that time, they did come back to the town board asking for an extension of the special permit. It was my recommendation that it be a reapproval of the special permit because it had fully expired without the request for an extension. And then I had requested that they do the well testing to determine that they have water capacity. So they've satisfied that one concern that I had raised. I do think that the board is now able to move forward to amending the previously issued negative declaration to resolve this water issue, which is really the only thing that changed during that time, and to reconsider a reapproval of the special permit at the next meeting.
okay. So there are no other issues. I mean, the initial approval was with another board, another town board years ago, and it was based on facts that stood back in 2016 and 17. So I don't know, I just wondered, their special permit did expire.
It did expire. It was still actively pursuing their approvals at the time that it expired. There were no other material changes besides the water issue, which has since been resolved.
Okay. So there's nothing else that needed to be updated in the statement of use or any of that?
They haven't made any other changes to the site plan. At this point, they would be seeking site plan, a special permit from the town board, and then once that's received, they would then go back to the planning board for final site plan approval.
All right, thanks.
Seeing that their A or B approvals are still valid.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wasn't clear on whether reapproval was something or whether they needed to go for a new special permit. And I guess that.
It's a reapproval of the original special permit.
Okay, thanks. And the water testing, and it's great that you hit the jackpot with the well 12. And there were subsequent test wells in other locations, so you're not really depleting the aquifer or other residential areas in the area?
Correct. That is the requirements of the DEC and Department of Health, that's fully demonstrated, and it'll be a condition of connections into the system.
Okay, and that was all presented to them and met with them, and they approved it?
That's
Okay.
yes.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I just have two quick questions for you, and if you could at least bring the answers for the next meeting. In reading through this, I found two different numbers for school children, so I was wondering if you could confirm how many children you think will come out of this project. And the second question I had was related to Castle Park. I know as part of this approval there was the replacement or an agreement for the replacement of Castle Park. Having a young kid, I get questions about that all the time, and I'm not exactly sure how to answer it. So my question is the timing of when Castle Park could potentially be replaced, and to what spec? Because I know there was a plan, I don't know that it's included in here, but I'm just curious to know what would be going there
Yes.
when it is replaced.
So as a condition of approval, there was a agreement that was it's an appendix to the approval, or a condition of the approval, that sets forth the recreation requirements for this development. It consists of three things. One was a cash payment. Second was the donation of approximate.
What was the first one?
as a cash payment of recreation fee. The second item is the donation of about 40-plus acres, which is detailed in the agreement. And then the third was to make improvements to the recreation area at the park that you mentioned, with the value of about $100,000. That's all spelled out in that agreement, and those items would be satisfied upon the grant of approval of final site plan approval. So the expectation would be that if we, in the next month, get this resolved and then move on back to the planning board. They've been waiting for us. The only item that was really outstanding with the planning board was demonstrating that we had the DEP approval, but we will have to appear back before the planning board for at least one meeting, or for them to complete their review and act on final site plan.
Okay, the one thing maybe we could look into is, you said up to 100,000, and I recall that we had a plan to replace Castle Park. It was gonna cost X amount of dollars, and this developer would be able to build it cheaper, and that they were committing to do that at their expense, and it should be around $100,000, but whatever it costs to
Correct.
do, they would complete it. If it ran over, it was on them. If it ran under, to their benefit.
Yes, and,
Okay.
and there are actually details that show the equipment and provide information about what is going to happen there.
Okay.
But we're committed to completing that obligation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comment? Okay, again, we're going to extend the public hearing by writing only for the next 10 days and close this portion of it. So moved originally. Will you
I
second the
second.
time? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We'll give you a
Appreciate
few
it.
seconds to leave. I know some of you are going to leave because I know you don't want to stay for the rest of our meeting, but you're welcome to.
We like you, but I don't want to get this thing off.
Okay, I'll let you guys pack up quick before we
Thank you.
move to the
Take care.
next one. Thank you. Okay, make a motion to open the second portion of a public hearing, commercial shooting ranges, chapter 138. Waive the reading of the notice. So moved. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ashley, would you like to speak to this quickly? Do you want to go over there to do that? Might hear you a little better. Put your stilt on.
There's a mic here. Does this work? Did I
No,
do this
he,
okay.
no, you know
Oh.
what? Just so people don't touch someone else's, let her go toward the mic. And if you need to lower it or have a paper towel there, you can drop it down and put it back up with the same paper towel.
I'll stand on my feet.
We'll get you a stool.
Okay. So there is a draft local law before the board and before the public hearing this evening that would add a shooting range as a new special permit use in a number of commercial districts within the town. There are a couple other inclusions in this local law, including special permit criteria that would be specific to both a indoor shooting range and then separately an outdoor shooting range. And then in addition to that, there were some changes that were proposed to the definitions of recreation and as well as recreation residential. There was an earlier version of this document that has a date of February 3rd, 2020, that included some deletions that are no longer proposed in the version that's before the board this evening, which is dated at the bottom, July 6, 2020. So I know that there had been some public comments that the board received in this last week about those deletions, so those deletions are no longer included in the draft that's before the board this evening.
And I'll take full responsibility for that. When I put it in front of the, when I was making up the agenda, so to speak, there's a couple of laws floating around, and I picked up basically the wrong one, but we corrected it the very next day. So what has been on the website now for 2 days is the accurate one, what was on the first of the third day prior to that, which is one day, I had put the wrong one on. But basically what you have in front of us this evening, And just to let people know too, is back in 2017, there was a comment made by someone, which we're going to read into the record in a moment, about usually there's a reason for change. Well, back then, the change was not the change. At that point in time, shooting ranges were allowed in the town of Southeast. And I hate to say it, but a boilerplate was used. I know we all read it. We really didn't have an objection to it, but since then, people have made comment, why did this change? And it was changed inadvertently, in all honesty. So we're basically going back to square one with this, and we'll have the public hearing tonight. And I can tell you that we're going to be, based on the comments we received, I'm prepared to make some change to it. So we'll listen to the public comment, and we'll be on the next agenda, which will be again, what day is that? The 23rd?
23rd.
23rd? The 23rd will be on our agenda again for the further work session, and then we will have another public hearing on this matter because there'll be a change to it. Whether it's substantial or not, we want the public to be made aware. We've also been told we're rushing this. That's, to me, not true. It was first on a town board work session back on Thursday, February 6th of 2020. We subsequently had another one, of course, last meeting. And we don't do any, look, we've been as honest about this and upfront as possible. So to say that, we're rushing this through, that's not quite true. And as far as there's someone in front of this town board or with any kind of a plan for something, it's absolutely not true. So if you think you heard something's going somewhere, I had a gentleman call me just recently, a few minutes ago, who I personally know. He's concerned about Fields Lane. We will be looking at this based on the comments we've heard, but we're taking a public hearing tonight, and you will have another chance in about a month, because next meeting, we're going to further discuss it, and probably in a month's time, we'll have another public hearing on it, but it'll be advertised accordingly. So with that, we'll open the public hearing. Did we do that yet, or no? I don't recall.
Wanted just to clarify one thing, because I know this was a comment. So just to be clear, under the current proposed draft that's dated July 6, 2020, a shooting range would not be considered a recreation use. Recreation is its own separate, distinct use. A shooting range would have its own definition, which would be its own use, and it would be only a special permit use in commercial zoning districts.
So, go ahead. Okay, so I'm going to ask the public to come up, state your name for the record. Also, I have a few names that sent us comments, which I'll not read into the record. One person asked to be read into the record, but they will be a part of the record.
Hi, Kathy Croft. What did you just say, Ashley? I missed that part.
So a shooting range would not be a recreation use.
Okay.
Recreation uses are things like golf driving ranges and ball fields.
Okay. First of all, I want to state that I am in favor of shooting ranges. I'm just not in favor of shooting ranges having the potential of being located in every single zoning district that we have in Southeast, which is what
We will be
this-
looking at that.
Yeah, which is what this law. So what I did was I printed out the zoning map, and I took every single, because there's nothing in our code right now, in our zoning code, that actually allows a special permit for any use in every single district except for the shooting range that's being proposed. So that stood out to me. And then, as you can see, basically, most everything is around roads, Route 22, 684, 84, Route 6. So I think that, as you said, you're going to look at it again. So I'm not-
I believe you'll see a change. I don't know how big a change, but every
Yeah.
zone will be.
And then the other thing is, I think looking at an indoor range would be beneficial. I know I have spoken to the sheriff. I know the sheriff's department needs a shooting range. I understand that completely. But I just think that anybody that has never lived near a shooting range has no idea how irritating that noise can be. And it would be a shame for people living in residential areas to have to listen to that continually. So if it could be possibly just located in a building, I think that would be the difference in what's being proposed. And that's it. Thank you.
Would you entrust me with your map with the yellow?
You
So I
want
don't
it?
have to duplicate it?
Sure.
Just leave it up there with John, and I'll get it back to you. Thank you. Oh, good. Just leave it there, John, I'll get it later.
I'll hold it.
Okay, next person?
My name is Marilyn Miller. I'm a resident of Southeast. I'm a firearms instructor, NRA certified, and I'm also a range safety officer. I've received hundreds of phone calls in recent months for new gun owners wanting to learn to shoot, mostly women and families, and they have no place to go and do it safely. Now, in Southeast, you can shoot in your backyard if you're 500 feet from a residence. There is no, you don't have to reclaim your lead, you don't have to worry about the noise. There isn't those stringent regulations that ranges have. There's a shortage of public ranges where people can safely learn how to use their firearms under supervision. Ranges are very strictly regulated for lead, for noise abatement. And it's just a great thing for families to have, that they can safely shoot instead of their backyards. Both new and old gun owners and law enforcement need a public range to become proficient. And they're heavily regulated. So I am all in favor of Southeast allowing ranges again. And I hope you would consider archery and airsoft and laser and simulators, all of that also for people to use. It brings such an economic benefit to the area. You know, people come and they eat and they you know, buy gas. So I hope you will vote in favor of this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Town Board. My name is David Krebs. I'm here for the gun ranges. I come at it from a different angle as safety. This year alone, there's been 4 million people have applied to buy a firearm. Of those 4 million, 44% of them have been first-time buyers. Where do they go and learn how to shoot? They don't have any place around here, really. And like the woman before me had said about now you're allowed to shoot in your backyard within the rules of the 600 feet and so on, not reclaiming your lead. The range, which, I mean, indoor would be ultimate because you could shoot no matter what the weather, almost the time. But I look at it as some place for someone who owns a firearm to be able to go and hone his skill, because someday he may have to use that skill to save someone else. And, you know, are they proficient enough to be able to hit the correct target? Are they going to, they'll be taught, you know, they have to learn about what's between them and the target, what's beyond the target, because they have to be responsible for that bullet that they shoot out of that gun, should it ever have to come to such a terrible thing as that. Me myself, I'm handicapped, and I look at it as for safety. I'm too young to die and too old to have my ass whooped. So I carry a concealed carry. I believe that it would be a economic benefit to the area. People are going to come up here, they're going to eat, like the woman said, buy gasoline. And other things you don't know what they see. They come back another day, maybe have nothing to do with shooting, and come back and do something else in the area. Miniature golf at Red Rooster, I don't know, you know. But I think that it would be a positive both economically and safety-wise for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
May I remove the mask or no?
No.
No? Okay. All right, my name is Ann Finizzi. I'm a resident of the town of Southeast. I just want to say that my remarks are really not about shooting ranges or the appropriateness of shooting ranges, or so forth. I mean, that is a recreation, quote-unquote, use for many people. However, what I'm concerned about is the zoning. There are 10 zoning areas in the whole town of Southeast that are designated commercial, and that a organization or company or whatever can just come in to these 10 commercial areas. But all of these commercial areas abut residential areas, and the restrictions that are being placed on outdoor, I wouldn't be so critical if it was just indoor. By the way, we do have presently in Carmel an indoor facility that, because of another development being proposed for that particular building, is now looking for a place to have their shooting range. And it's indoor, not outdoor. And it is located in a residential community, but not outdoor. And so some of the restrictions that you've attempted to put in, I mean, 6-foot walls, there are hours of operation which are 7 days a week, from 9 o'clock to almost sunset, and then on Sunday from 10 o'clock until sunset. Now, anyone who lives near any kind of a hunting area or something, really, it is more than irritating. And here we will have a shooting range practically located in any area of the town. I wouldn't be, so critical if perhaps the board would think of a particular location or a particular zone, but to say to anyone, here, you have the entire town, just pick it, and it doesn't matter. There is even the neighborhood business zone, which is really adjacent to a residential district. And we have an RC and OP3 zone. Well, where is an RC and OP3 zone? Well, on Pugsley Road, where allegedly this sports complex is supposed to be built, and where rumors are circulating that the present company that is located in Paladin will probably want to move there. Their first location was John Simpson Road, which is right down the block from me. But maybe that has been reconsidered, would put it that way.
And so is the draft in front of you. It will be
I beg
reconsidered.
your pardon?
The draft in front of you, based on what we've received, like some of my colleagues, you are going to see a change in it.
Well, there has to be drastic changes. Also, I was part of the comprehensive committee. Now, this was barely 4-5 years ago. There was no mention of shooting ranges or anything of that type, outdoor or indoor for that matter, okay? And there was a recommendation, and I want to read it to you. It's section 7-3. The town should examine its commercially zoned districts with respect to both community character and economic fiscal development. These districts should be evaluated to determine how well they serve the purpose of enhancing community character in the neighborhood business districts, the gateways to the communities, and along the highways. So here we have it. There is also another section, and you may correct me, is there in the comprehensive plan, we also recommended that the town prepare a parks and recreation master plan. Is that underway? I mean, before we start thinking of adding other uses, and again, I'm not opposed to having it, but I think all of this should be very carefully examined, exactly what will be the impact of these shooting ranges. I live in Hunter's Glen. When hunting season comes, I know when it comes. And I'm more than 1,000 feet away, or 1,350 feet away. But to have a constant gunfire going off, it really, really talk about disturbing the peace and quiet of a community. Indoors is another story. Indoors is another story. But outdoors is really, you really have to rethink of the impact on residential communities that abut all of these 10 business districts. These are not isolated business districts. They may be isolated from certain portions of the town, but they're certainly not isolated from large portions of the town. Let me see, the last thing is that fences do not prevent noise, the noise of constant shooting. They don't. I have a huge buffer between me and the area which is being hunted. I think you need to look at the impact on the areas surrounding all of these proposed business districts, even by special permit. Special permit, I've never known a special permit to be denied. I've been in various towns for almost 20 years, and I can't remember a special permit being denied. And if you give latitude of 10 business districts for anyone to come in, and just following the regulations that you have and some of the restrictions, that is not enough. I don't understand why you did not look at maybe a particular area, a particular district, and perhaps designate that. You designate that, for certain business operations. There are certain business operations that are in neighborhood businesses that are not in OP3 districts and so forth. So I don't understand why a district was not chosen. Again, I'm not opposed to it, but I really wish you would reconsider. This is really most misguided. And I would be very careful, because the combination of a shooting range on Pugsley with possibly warehouses, with possibly a sports complex, is not a good combination. And that is what I have been hearing, because that facility in Carmel needs to move. They need to move. Thank you.
Thank you. You could just get up again, would you, sir, please? Just so we can hear you.
Ms. Finizzi brought up about the gun range that's in a residential neighborhood, that's inside a building, that's in Carmel. In Carmel, there's also outdoor ranges, but they're private.
That's right.
They're in residential neighborhoods also.
Yes,
Just wanted to.
thank you.
Thank you for adding that.
Oh,
Because
no.
because I can't tell you how many complaints I have received of people who live off Interlochen and Lake Gilead and Lake Glenida. They hear they hear that noise coming from those, you're right, private shooting ranges. And they had asked me, this happened several years ago, and they asked me what I could do about it, but it was a private organization. And at that time, Carmel, and even now, I don't believe it has a code that would prevent that.
Thank you.
Hi, Alicia Yaruso. I'm an avid gun, I have my permit, so I'm not opposed to the range. I am opposed to the outside range. The noise when it's hunting season, and sometimes when it's not, is astronomical. I'm right there. It wouldn't be fair to the residents that are even adjacent. As far as when you're talking about, we really have nowhere to go, well, there's Pauling, there's also a police facility. I have friends that belong to the other clubs. Yes, you have to drive 10 minutes more, but has society really gotten to be that lazy that they can't just take another step? Or a facility not around the residents. Driving here, I'm thinking in my mind, well, what would be a better place? On the other side of Chico's, there was proposed commercial there. That's a big hill. It's unoccupied on the opposite side of the bridge. Or up Independence Way. I know there's businesses up there. I don't know how far. I don't know if there's empty space. But again, that's not residential where the impact of the noise. We're also talking about bringing business in and more, what about the traffic on 312? We've already addressed it for the warehouses. Well, now bringing in more traffic, where does that put that traffic? And you had mentioned that you received a call. I also understand it's also a done deal. They're moving. When I was in there talking to them about it,
When you say to
when I was
to
in the
whom?
facility, I guess, wife or girlfriend, when I was talking to her, because they were also talking about how they have private courses, she was telling, oh, no, it's pretty much done. This is where we're moving.
You're saying, can you identify, not the person who said
On Route
it.
6, what's that, Palmadilla?
Paladin?
Right. That's the one that's moving in there, isn't it? Because
There is nobody that has approached this town, nobody
Okay.
has approached this town about anything.
I'm telling you a direct conversation I had with them when I was asked, and they said, no, it's pretty much a done deal. And then, I don't know anybody's marriage arrangement, husband, boyfriend, whatever, came over and says, shh, wait. I will also tell you what prompted me to go in there was a conversation that a good friend of mine had, and I said, what are you talking about? And that's why I went in there to find out. So I know you're saying no, but I'm told it
No, I'm
was already
saying,
done.
no one has made an application to this town
Okay.
officially, okay? No planning board, no work session, nothing. Could it happen? I've been here, I was on the county legislature for 19 years.
Okay, I'm just telling you what I was
And Paladin
told.
was mentioned, Ms. Venezia mentioned there was a piece that would come off of Simpson Road, part of Tilly Foster Farm. It was going to be a 100-acre veteran cemetery,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was going to be the area where Paladin may or may not go there. The rumors have been around for well over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So it may happen, it may not, but there's nothing in front of this town, zero.
I'm just telling what I was told.
And you know
Also-
more than we do, because whoever that is telling you, they haven't told us. And it may go there.
Okay.
I'm not saying it is or isn't, but we don't know.
Okay. Also, there's a number of animals of special concern back there, not just for that area, but also the sports complex. I don't know if anybody's addressed that. I know that there's some work been going on, but I guess that's for the next section. Right now, again, I'm not opposed to having a gun range. I'm opposed to having noise impact. I'm opposed to the additional traffic that may occur on that road. That's where I lie, and I would want to limit it to just the range, not all these other things that are being proposed, outdoor go-karts and whatever else. It's a noise, it's a resident, I'd like to enjoy.
Go-karts are gone. It was an error when it was put in.
Okay, fair enough.
Or stricken, I should. Anyway, come in 2 weeks' time, you'll see another notice posted. Much of what's being discussed tonight, I don't know how much is about zones, but you'll see it not drastically change, but change. We are listening.
It seems like a lot of things being thrown over there, and, you examine one traffic, and then, there's more being put on. Is there going to be a revision of, a review of the traffic of what's proposed?
At this point in time, that's all
Not at this
basically,
point.
the town tonight, I've got it on the agenda about Route 22. We're gonna look into Route 22 first, and Route 312, if we approve 22, the next one we're gonna look at is Route 312.
Okay.
We didn't look at it a couple of years ago because it was a big project at the time, Crossroads at the time. We couldn't make a change then. Since the meantime, we're going 22 first and then the 312, so it will be looked at. But again, if a person owns land, they're gonna wanna build on it according to zoning.
Right.
Okay. Too bad you guys all got masks on. I don't recognize everybody. Sorry.
Hi, good evening. My name is Felix Carcano, and I am the founder of the Paladin Center.
Oh, really?
So I thought
Great.
I'd step up and address a few things. As far as rumors go and things that our staff say, yes, 3 years ago, we were talking in the county executive's office, 3 years ago. Before the distillery, we were talking about John Simpson, we were talking about Pugsley. I can honestly
To
tell
the
you...
county executive, though.
What's that?
You're saying the county executive.
County executives, some county legislators. We
Anyone
put a
from,
lot of
anyone
time
from,
in...
anyone from the town of Southeast?
No.
Okay,
No.
thank you. Just so you know, folks.
And we didn't bother because it's gone nowhere in 3 years. And yes, the distillery may come in. I'm not going to speak to anything else with that, with regards to the coronavirus and things going on. We will be staying in that building for a long time. And also, maybe what you heard in the store was some misdirection because we've actually made plans to leave. Right, right. Because we're planning to move, we actually have an option now to leave Putnam County. And just because of the coronavirus.
Just, sir, if
we
you would
could-
just
so I'm
speak
sorry.
to the mic so everyone can hear
Sure.
you.
Just because of the coronavirus, our plans to leave Putnam had to been put on hold. So we have another facility that we're going forward with. So I just want to come here to speak about a few things because I have expert knowledge, having 8 years of military, police, civilian training, to talk about safety and noise. I'll start by saying that every one of my residential neighbors on Seminole Hill Road has my personal cell phone number. In 8 years, we've only ever had one sound complaint, and that was caused by a helicopter that scared someone's dog, and I apologize to the owner and the dog. We have done explosive breaching on a regular basis on the property. We do flashbang training with SWAT teams on a regular basis. We know how to contain sound. And I will tell you this, that if you do have someone that wants to try to do an outdoor range, the reason why an outdoor range is needed in addition to an indoor range, especially for law enforcement training, is a function of distance. Most civilians shoot from 3 yards to maybe 25 yards. Most law enforcement have to train from 25 to 100 yards. Having spent the money and built the only indoor shooting range in Putnam County, I can tell you the expense that goes into a shooting range is the HEPA quality air handling system. Our air system for our very, very small range was on the order of $250,000. It is financially impossible to do that for a 100-yard range. But I will also tell you, and I'll provide documentation during the week, technology in the last 3 years has come light speed with regards to sound abatement. The old days, no offense to the club, but the old days of standing in the woods and shooting into the ground are so not acceptable for so many reasons, for environmental, for safety, and for the fact that, believe it or not, trees actually amplify gun sounds. I can give you page booklets of documentation. Outdoor ranges nowadays are surrounded with, it's a material that, like, for example, the concrete barriers you see on the highway, it's a version of that, where it provides ballistic protection, called blue sky protection. It provides sound deadening. There are roof systems. You've all seen the big clear span buildings that go up everywhere. You put a clear span roof up, that holds all the sound inside of it. The only thing you don't do is you don't attach the walls to the roof. You need to have an air gap so that air can flow through, so you don't have to have the ventilation system. Sound, for every time sound, the distance of sound doubles, it drops 6 decibels. The loudest gun out there right now is 173 decibels at the barrel, which is like a jet engine. At 1,000 feet, that drops down to 110 decibels, which is between a chainsaw and a lawnmower. with proper mitigation, sound mitigation, you can get that sound level down below around the area of 85 decibels, which is the sound of Route 84 going by with traffic. So with proper study, with proper requirements, sound can be handled. There are police departments all around the United States that were being sued and fined by their own neighborhoods because of sound violations. And there's a few companies out there that have made a lot of money fixing that problem. So it is fixable, it is addressable, it's provable, it's documented, it can be documented. So just to say, we're going to be around in Carmel for a little while, and I can't say the other location. It's going to be a problem for some residents that don't have permits in other places, but we're going to still help, and we'll help advise. We can put you in contact with all kinds of experts to guide you, if you like.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming, because we've been
No.
accused for many, many months by some of the people in this
Nope.
room that we're hiding stuff, doing it, and you
No.
proved this evening.
To be honest with you, we gave up. We truly, honestly just gave up.
I hate to say
So-
that's great, but it's good news for a lot of people in the audience.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're
So-
sorry you're going through it, but again,
Yeah.
you kind of got us off the hook, because what they were saying about us, what we've been doing all this time, is a lie, and I
No.
hate it.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
That's a tough act to follow. I'm Carla Lucchino. I'm a Town of Southeast resident, and I just want to cast my vote in favor of the proposed changes to Chapter 138. I'm working off the February version, so I have a little bit of the wrong things, but 3 primary reasons I'm in favor of it. First is the training. I'm just reinforcing what you've already heard. For firearm owners, particularly a lot of new firearm owners, training is essential for safety reasons. Everybody knows that. Everybody would acknowledge that. And being close to home is better. I know someone said, is it really too much trouble to drive 10 more minutes? Sometimes it is. I think if we have the ability to train closer to home, people will train more frequently, and that's good because it will drive improved safety. So safety was the second reason, and the third reason is an economic reason. I think it's very, very important that we try to attract more businesses to the town of Southeast and Putnam County, because the revenue, the tax revenue generated from those businesses offsets the extraordinarily high property and school taxes we have, because they make contributions. So the burden isn't only on the homeowner, it's shared with the business. I think that's a huge positive for us, particularly in light of what we've been through for the last few months and are continuing with reduced tax revenues. So I look forward to the revision and the changes. I think I agree with what Felix said about noise abatement and ways to solve some of those problems. And I also agree about zoning concerns. We should do this smartly, but I think it's a huge plus for the town, and I hope you approve it.
Thank you. Next person, please. Town Board. Now, before we wrap that part up, I do want to read into the record one and the other ones that made comment. And even though they made the comment prior to this evening, I told them we would enter it into our record this evening. And like I said, in a couple weeks, we'll have a new version. We have a Janet Keys. She lives in Brewster, New York. Barbara Harrison in Brewster, New York. I'm not good at foreign languages, sorry. Majosiger, Josiger.
Bill Josinger, I think.
Josinger?
It's Bill Josinger.
Okay. He lives in Brewster, New York. Ms. Evers, you're here this evening. We were entering yours. Do you want to say anything publicly, or we're entering this in the record on your behalf? Is that, do you want to speak to it, or is this good enough when we put it into the record? Sorry, I can't hear what she's saying. That's enough. This is enough. You're good with this? Yeah. Thank you. Margie Vasquez, Brewster, New York. Lynn Eckhart asked to have it read into the record. And Jamie Williams Grossman in Brewster, New York. and Eileen McDermott in Brewster, New York. Ms. Eckhart asked this to be read in the record, and unfortunately, things have changed. She did not see the change. Like I said, I want to put it on. I had two versions. I put the wrong one on day one. Second day was revised, and it's been out there 2 days. And by the time I got this, I called her and made her aware of it, but it was already written, so we'll read it into the record accordingly. I'm quite sure it will change the next time we speak. Dear Supervisor Hay and members of the board, I hope that everyone is well. I write to you today to express my concern regarding the proposed zoning code change on shooting ranges. Would ask that this letter be read into the record tonight. Usually when a town code is revised or completely changed, there's a reason for this change. And since this specific use of shooting range was banned as enacted by the town board less than 4 years ago, April 6, 2017, I would have to assume that there is an important reason for this significant change to our zoning code. A clear explanation for this change is an important component of this legislation. For example, is a shooting range proposed for Southeast? We can answer that now, even from the direct words of one person, no. And there haven't been, and right now there's nothing on our table. There have been rumors of this for years, and that gentleman identified it. Yes, it has been for years. Even if the plans are tentative, it would be helpful for residents to know about any possible shooting ranges that might be planned for Southeast and what locations are proposed. Again, there is none. Now, they mentioned one of our councilmen, and I'll read it. It's there, but I'll defend them. If Councilman O'Connor proposed these changes, perhaps he can shed some light on any county plans. We were told tonight the county may have plans. When Mr. O'Connor goes to work every day, he goes to work as a county employee. He has a job like any of us. When he gets here, he represents the people of the town of Southeast. Whether he knew of it or not, he has maybe a confidential clause in his contract, maybe with the town, and we have a town with the county. But when people sit here, we've had other people that work for the county. I worked for the county for 19 years, okay? My allegiance is here. I believe when he's here, his allegiance is here. When he works, it's with the county. Can he wear two hats? He does, but he doesn't have any more knowledge, I don't believe. And if he does, he puts it on the record. We have been hiding absolutely nothing, and that's why I have to thank that gentleman tonight. You cleared it up. We are not guilty as charged. In addition, these should be concerns that much of what was written into 2000 code has now been removed and has been crossed out. And this is the section which I take responsibility for because I put the wrong version on. I'll read it, but it's not true. Specifically under Section 2, recreation. Recreation uses shall exclude automotive or go-kart tracks, shooting ranges, amusement parks, and any use of archery equipment, guns, weaponry, or similar equipment that would simulate combat, including equipment that has the capacity to project a projectile or emit a light or a laser. After board discussion and unanimous vote in 2017, this includes votes by two current board members, Supervisor Hay and Councilman Alvarez, it makes no sense to completely eliminate this portion of the code, especially in light of the problems the town has encountered in regard to motorized vehicle tracks within Southeast. As you know, there are at least 3 locations where off-road vehicular use has been problematic. Without those protections, future applicants might believe that these uses are welcome in addition to any Southeast location. These exclusions should be addressed now and incorporated in any code change. There are many ways to improve the proposed changes on shooting ranges. One would be to allow only indoor ranges. Southeast is a suburban town where residents work hard to enjoy peace and quiet. Neighborhoods should be not subject to gunfire noise because repetitive noise that falls below the accepted decibel level is still disturbing. Another positive change would be to scale back the number of zones where shooting ranges would be allowable. If outdoor ranges are to remain, the town board should study maps and limit these ranges to areas where noise and safety will not be a factor. Outdoor ranges could be limited to these specific areas. Finally, the time of this code change is unfortunate and unfair. If there are no shooting range proposals in the works or even in discussion, then there's no reason to rush this code change through the process. There are still many residents who are reluctant to attend gatherings, and all residents should be able to attend public hearings without fearing for their health. At the very least, a public hearing should be held tonight, but not extended to a later date so interested parties on either side of the debate feel comfortable enough to attend to speak. Again, I've been here now 8.5 years, and when I got here, the first thing I changed was after a public hearing, there's no way to vote on it, because I got the shaft by the town many years ago. I had a proposal in front of the town, went to a public hearing, it was the first one I ever attended as a citizen, a dumb citizen, I have to say. And I went to a meeting, and people spoke, like they spoke here this evening. As soon as everyone was done speaking, they closed the public hearing, and they read a resolution. They didn't listen to a word we said. We have never done that, not since I've been here. We listened, and even before this happened this evening, some of my fellow councilmen, no councilwoman anymore, all councilmen, contacted me. They were looking to make some changes, which we identified prior to. So, I'm not saying I've been in the business too long. I work really, really hard, and when I hear things like that, I find it very troubling. So, this,
Whose comments did you read?
Lynn Eckhart's, I read that, didn't I read that in the record when I started?
I wasn't sure. You mentioned several names.
Okay, no, I mentioned, okay, anyway, it was Lynn Eckhart. And again, what I put on the internet, one thing, and it changed, and I take full responsibility. If you saw my desk, you'd understand how it happened. Go to see Mr. Stevens' desk, it'd be a lot worse. Okay, but mine's bad, but his is worse. Okay, so with that, we put in the record, I'm gonna tell you now, in two weeks at the minimum, and maybe a maximum, we have started working on some changes, the definition, the clarification, zones, and we're gonna come back with something. We listened long before what you said here this evening, what she said, many of you have already said, you didn't see her letter, so we all kind of think alike. Just let me finish, please. Okay. Now you interrupted my thought. Go ahead, get up here and speak then.
I just wanted to ask whether or not the letters will be posted on the website, or do I have to file?
If you, we'll post them on the website. I'll put them on there tomorrow. We're gonna repost the whole agenda tomorrow, and I'll put the letters at the back of it.
Yeah, because we have letters coming in, so I appreciate those.
These will go in the file, okay? And again, whatever comes in the next 10 days will be similar. So, any further comment? Seeing none, I'm going to make a motion to close this portion of the public hearing, leave open 10 days for more public comment, but kind of wait until the next round, folks. You can say what you want to say, but there's going to be some change. So with that, I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All that came for that this evening, thank you for coming for that portion. We have another public hearing now. I'll let people clear out kind of, and we'll go to the next one when you're done. We'll just take a 30-second recess, guys. That's bad.
Thanks for coming. I have a copy, but.
It's true.
Public hearings?
What did you say? You want a copy of the agenda? Yeah. You know what? Can someone give?
I'll give you mine.
You know what? I won't blame you. I'll take full responsibility. I did it. I didn't print the extra copies of the agenda. You good? We'll read it before we do it anyway.
You're welcome. You can hold
You
on
can
to
keep
it,
it.
that's fine.
Okay, be posted tomorrow. Okay. Okay, Parks and Rec Advisory Board, make a motion to open that public hearing, waive the reading of the notice.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let me get myself situated here. I got so much stuff here. Okay, at our meeting previously, I had told you that the recreation advisory history goes back to like 1988. Way back when, the town didn't have much of anything. A lot has taken place since then, but this board has always been at odds with whoever was in charge of it. So we had 92 to 93, we had 94, 95, nothing in 95, 96, 97, 98. Bottom line is, around 2007, was the last time we appointed someone to the advisory board, and there were 7 members at the time. And the only thing that happened since then, I got here in 2008. I don't know what year I got here. I think I got here in 2008. I'm thinking, yep. No, I got here in 2000. I can't remember what year I got here now. I've been here for so long. I got here in 11. So the bottom line, the last thing the town did was they put in Wells Park, they put a spray park. It was like over $500,000. And I came in the following year, which was 2012, because that happened in 2011. They opened the park. So my first budget that I had handed to me had a deficit of $150,000 by opening the spray park. Now, the world, the public demanded that the town have a spray park, and they put it in. Well, by the second year, I was only losing $46,000, and I closed it. And the reason I closed it, for that summer, we had 5 people attend that park on a daily basis. The first year, when we lost 150, we had a stronger requirement because they had nurses present and whatever. It was never going to make money. The cost to run it was phenomenal. I'm telling you right now, if they had built a pool back in 2007 and 8, when they did this in 2011, I'm going to tell you right now that pool would still be there. It was at Wells Park, and it would be used by the public. They could have made a small little spray thing outside of it, and it would have been a very big success. But when 5 kids a day, I made a joke of it, which I didn't mean to joke, but there was a place up in Fishkill, some kind of a splashdown. I could hire a limo and send those 5 kids up there every day, and it'd been better than what we provided. In the meantime, we've given it to the village as a lease for the next 25 years. They don't use it as a spray park, because it's like, I hate to say it, you know, you could have put down there with those little whirly things you see in the water your lawn, and the ones that go back and forth like this here. If you put that down there, those kids would have had a ball. Nope, we had a pine tree, we had palm trees, we had whatever, and the water trickled down from it. Nobody attended. So, as far as the board, the recommendation to come back is to dissolve the board, take it off the books, because it's been on the books all these years, and it has been enforced, and we're going to take it off because it's not used. So that resolution will come forward the next time. Is there any comment?
I wasn't even aware that we had a board, and then when you proposed dissolving it, and I read the law or the chapter that defines what they do and the goals, I thought, you know, that's a really good idea. Why don't we have a board?
We do.
I know that you...
We do. And it was unattended, and it just died.
Okay. Do you think we might want to restart it?
I would not. No way. No. You know, sometimes the town board has to take responsibility for the things on their own. And I think that's our job. We don't need a board. If something's forward, you hear it tonight, we have a proposal that's been out there now 3 or 4 years about Teneta Lake, the park was supposed to be done. I know we get beat up constantly, but we have an agreement with some to do something, and it's holding up that particular park. We don't have a lot of land. Way back when, for some strange reason, the town really didn't consider sports. When I got here in 1957, we played down the Electric Zone Field. It was the only field they had. Then they used Markel. Markel had a house up on, I guess they call it Teneta Lake Road. I think it became a group home, and now it's a really big house. They had a nice field. When you're a little kid, any field is nice. It had grass.
That was Margolis. Margolis.
Oh, Margolis? Not
Yeah,
Markel?
that was
Okay,
the field.
Margolis.
Yeah.
And that was a field that we would go to, and it was a lot of fun to play on.
Yeah, it's strawberry patch there.
You must eat the strawberry. But the bottom line is, we can do it. Pardon?
I said, I hope we're not going to go through every year.
So, at this point in time, no, take it off the books. If we need to reinforce at some point, but I'm telling you now, the town doesn't have the money. There's not a lot of areas we can do things, and we are doing things. We have, you know, a lot of things are really beginning to happen. The highway department is really making huge improvements. We're making improvements, so as far as that board, the recommendation will be through a resolution, which I'll put forward to the next meeting, dissolve it, get it off the books, and continue to move forward. That's what we're here for. So I'll do that for the next meeting?
This is a public hearing, so you're
Yeah.
going to ask the public. Yeah, can we, does anybody want to speak to it, please? Sorry.
No problem. I forgot where I was in the agenda. We should have been done by now. Sit closer next time. We don't have to work so far.
I wasn't planning on speaking on this, Kathy Croft, but I think you're missing a few things. First of all, in 2007, it was reinstated because there was a proposal that was looked at and it was actually it was a referendum on the ballot to build a rec center. I think it was for $17 million, which would have included an indoor pool, and they were going to build it up at the 10 acres there off of Independence Way.
And it died.
And it died. It was voted down that evening. But that's all when that was resurrected, that's all that they were tasked with. No
Yep.
one ever tasked them with looking, as far as I know, with looking at other opportunities. But having said that, I mean, I've lived in this town for over 20 years. I did not bring up my son in this town. And the town where we lived prior, there was a swimming pool for the community. There were a lot of different things for children. And, I think Castle Park, it's in deplorable condition right now.
And we just explained why this evening.
Sorry?
We explained why that's happening this
Right,
evening.
right, I know. But I still see that years away from being fixed.
That's
And
not true. That one. if
Okay,
this-
I'm glad, I want to be
If that,
proved.
if that comes, if this passes the next meeting,
I want to be proved wrong, Tony. I absolutely do.
I'm gonna help you
But
prove
that
you're
was a
wrong.
public-private partnership. I think that was basically private that actually got that built to begin with 20 years ago.
yes.
So I do think there is a lot of room for improvement with recreation in our town, because I think, as a bedroom community to New York City, there's a lot of families here with children, and we could do better.
Yes, we
And when
can.
that spray park was built, and I have every single bill, I know exactly how much that cost, because I was appalled by that money being spent on such a the population that was going to be attractive to was what was it, maybe a 3-year range, maybe 3-year-olds to 5-year-olds or whatever. It wasn't, the greater good of the community, but yet it took all that money that the campus at Fields Corner and, all our recreation funds went towards that. So the Recreation Advisory Board had nothing to do with that. That was a town board decision.
Well, but at that point in time, they were no longer even involved with it. Once that project failed for the $17 million,
So
it dissolved.
maybe if there is a recreation department or advisory board, maybe their mission statement has to be, instead of having the new members come to, to work on getting a building done like they were doing, maybe it's just because the mission statement was never clear.
This board can
Please
do
state
the
it.
very job. We're a town board,
Yeah.
something can come in front of us, and we can get it done.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to clear up a few things, because
Well,
it
I
seemed
mean-
like there were some missing links there.
Well, the missing links is nothing was happening, and once that one project died, that was the end of it.
Right.
I mean, it was like an all or nothing.
Right, but I just don't think this town has ever offered the potential that it could offer to families that have children.
Well,
And I'm only saying that because where I grew up, and I grew up in the 50s, we had a community pool. And a few weeks ago, I was contacted by a reporter from the Journal News, and he said, "Hey, are there any community pools in Putnam County?" And I said, "I don't think so." And I was proved wrong, because there's the little one that they bought the camp over there in Putnam Valley. But our whole county, there's not one.
hey, you know how many pools this county probably has privately as opposed to community?
Right,
Big time.
right,
And that's another problem, too.
yeah.
I mean,
And
we provide a lake.
Yeah.
Can improvements be made? Yes, they can. One, it's all about money. When they did that spray park, they drained the entire
right.
fund.
I
And until we get the check for this project, if and when it goes through, plus the improvements to the park, that will be the first time any kind of money has come in probably a decade.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can't do things without money. People can take, you know, we don't provide, we have a lot of programs. Everyone says this town has no programs. I'm telling you right now, you go on the webpage, you call our recreation department, they will tell you, we do a lot of things down there, and people don't know.
Well, maybe it's all about marketing, because I remember going to that spray park, I think the year after it was built, and and there was no one there.
No, I know.
So,
I just
and
told you it was
don't think-
5.
And I don't think anybody knew about it, so maybe it's all
Well,
about marketing.
I know how they didn't know about it, they were paying for it, but whatever, it's gone, it's there, but I don't think anyone's
Yeah.
gonna use it, it's cost prohibitive to
Yeah,
run it.
of course it is.
If the same, again, I said earlier, if that money had been spent on a pool, it'd be thriving right now, thriving.
Yes, it would
But we
have.
don't have the money to replace it, and someday maybe a philanthropist will come by, drop some money in the town's coffers, and we can do something. And our biggest problem here in the town is we got too many parks. We got all these mini parks, okay? Scalpino's a nice park. We got, not Wells, Markel, Volunteer. There's nothing in Electro, but we got 3 fields. Every time we do something, we got to do things in threes. And when you go up to the regular park up by the beach, and if that gets replaced, but then they'll say, well, what about us on this side of town? So most towns don't have 3 parks. So if we had one big, large parcel, but back when they didn't think of it, I don't know how, and how do you play catch-up after all these years? One, we have no money, the land is limited, it's very difficult. But if someone's got a proposal, well, listen, I mean, I look at, there's a lot of things people want, and they did something that the people wanted, and it was a big disaster.
Yeah, well, I don't think that people wanted it, number one, but that's besides the point.
Well-
But I do hope that Castle Park does get.
It's gonna
redone
get done.
Quickly.
Well, I'm not gonna say
Because that
quickly.
last time I was there, it was like Splinter City, so.
We
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
probably, we could look at the Castle Park thing, I brought it up tonight, but maybe there should be a deadline on that
Yeah.
we could look at.
Well, unfortunately, when we made this agreement back when, it was one that got their approval. They will not be getting their approval until possibly 2 weeks, and then it has to go back, I think, to the planning board. So it's maybe a month or 2 months. So maybe next year at this time, that will be a thriving metropolis again. But right now, that park should have been closed long ago, where it shouldn't be open because the state no longer is allowed that type of facility to exist. It's got to be stainless steel, this, and this. The Splinter Park, like you say, should not be used, and I believe it's not being used. It can't be. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
On the spray park, I think that the rec department wanted that so that they could use it for their day camp. So I think that's one of the reasons why they put in that spray park.
Okay, well, they lost a lot of money. We never
No, but
recovered
it
it.
wasn't just for 5 people, it was for.
No, it was meant for everybody. And when it was done being built, whoever wanted it, whatever use they proposed for it, when I had to close it down, 5 kids a day was the average. We have the attendance records for that summer, 5 kids a day, and I said, that's it. We can't continue to eat that kind of money. Yes, sir.
Hi, Anthony Colello. I'm also a Southeast resident. I just want to applaud you on the transparency of the way you do business. You've done it like this for a long time and it works. Also, shrinking and getting rid of duplication is great. There is no reason we need a parks planning board when we have your board. You guys could do the job just fine.
I think we can. Thank you. Anyone else? I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing as it is today, 10 days for written comment.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, let me get my glasses back on, and now we're going to do a lot more work. Okay. I make a motion to go into the work session about peddling and soliciting Article 1, Chapter 103. Will, I didn't get anything for that. Did you write anything up yet?
Yes, well, actually, it's 99% done. I thought that it certainly did, but I obviously did not.
Next
I'm
agenda.
working from the town of Goshen's, which has got a peddling and soliciting law that has passed constitutional muster, and I'll be putting that into
Okay.
by form. So
I'll
you-
put,
if
I'll
you
put
want,
on, put on next agenda.
you can put it on, or we can set a public hearing for next meeting.
You want, well, you want us to have this,
August.
but you want us, we're going to discuss it at our next meeting, and then we'll put,
Discuss it at the next meeting.
and then the first meeting in August is the public hearing?
Correct.
Good. I'd rather do the second meeting, only in case we don't have enough items on the first one. So the second meeting in August, we'll set a public hearing for that law, okay? Just in case. We don't, sometimes during the summertime, we don't get a lot of things. We're playing catch-up big time tonight, and we're not going to have as much to do in the future with it. Okay, we will do that. Okay, second part of the work session, funding Route 22 master plan and zoning update. I had forwarded you earlier in the week or whatever, Ashley Lai, who was here tonight representing AKRF, had put forward a proposal. And I would like to make I plan to make a motion at the end of the meeting to authorize the town supervisor to negotiate funding a Route 22 master plan zoning update with the town planner at a price not to exceed $19,500. I have not had a chance to negotiate with her yet. She didn't know she was going to be negotiating, but now she does. So I just want to let you know that I want to get your feeling of it, and if we can waive the rules and put it on the actual agenda and vote on it, and we'll be up to $19,500. So don't look for a full check. Any comment on anyone? Now, like I said earlier this evening, in case you forgot, we're going to be working on Route 22 first. We have a few areas that we have to look at, and then we're going to head out to Route 312. So, good enough? Okay.
I'm sorry, what were you saying about 19.5?
The proposal, when it was forwarded to us, it said it would cost me $19,500.
Okay.
I'm asking that be the maximum, and I'm going to try to negotiate a little better price,
Okay.
and not $1. Okay. Okay, make a motion now to go into the regular portion of the meeting?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. First item, resolution set erosion control bond, State Line Realty Restaurant Depot. Now therefore be resolved that the bond amount is hereby established for the project set forth below. Project name, State Line Restaurant Depot. Commercial site plan, site improvements, $1,686,000. Erosion and sediment control, $66,200. And be further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution shall be transmitted by the town clerk to the applicant, planning board secretary, and building inspector forthwith. So moved for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, resolution, ARB recommendation, Eurotech Construction. Now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby accepts and approves a report of the Architectural Review Board dated June 30, 2020, in connection with the application Eurotech Construction, which seeks amended site plan approval for an existing commercial/recreation facility located at 1639 Route 22, tax map ID 46.3-13, to be used as a general business use of, including making improvements to an existing gravel access way and restoration of an existing soccer field to a lawn. A copy of the ARB review and report is annexed hereto and made part hereof, and that such report shall be incorporated in any final site plan subsequently reviewed and approved by the planning board. So move for discussion.
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, resolution, ARB recommendation, Northwood Tree Care. And by the way, going back to that last one, there's a lot of recreation being brought in privately. We have pro swing being proposed out there. These are things the town of Southeast cannot afford to do. We don't own the land, we can't afford to buy the land where it may be, but there's a lot of businesses coming into this town. Now, when we charge, they charge, but there's a lot of recreation being brought in this town by outside private agencies, and they do work with the town, allowing different programs. So when I hear we don't have recreation, we're not doing enough, I think we do a lot, and we have to thank those outside that are helping contribute toward that, just for the record. Okay, Northwood Tree Care. Now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby accepts and approves a report of the Architectural Review Board dated June 30, 2020, in connection with the application of Northwood Tree Care, which seeks amended site plan approval for an expansion of existing wood processing business and a soil processing business located at 25 Fields Lane, tax map ID 78.2-73. A copy of the ARB review and report is annexed hereto and made part hereof, and that such report shall be incorporated in any final site plan subsequently reviewed and approved for the project by the planning board. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 4, resolution authorize additional expenditures to purchase highway equipment, skid steer loader with blacktop planer attachment. Now therefore be resolved that the Town of Southeast Highway Superintendent is authorized to expend an amount not to exceed $80,000 for the purchase of an all-wheel ski steer loader, and is further resolved that the Southeast Superintendent of Highways requires any additional funds, amount above the allotted, he will be further authorized by the town board to make such expenditure, and be further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. Let me briefly say, in the past, over the past 6 years, there's been very, very little equipment purchased by the town of Southeast. There was no plan of how expenditures would go in the future, what roads would be done, and I have to compliment the Highway Superintendent, Mike Burdick. He would be coming to you during the budget process, identifying how and what he's looking for in his budget. Fortunately for us, we have funds in the line, quite a bit of funds, because we haven't done much in the past 6 years, and we're kind of playing catch up with the equipment, and we're going to have a change to that soon. Mike, we don't really take comment. Okay. Unless
I wouldn't mind hearing him speak.
anyone have an objection to it?
No, I'd love to
Okay.
hear him speak.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to give you a quick update on the highway department. You know, the corona thing was way more trying than a tough winter. My guys I really have to compliment the guys. They worked through this thing like a champ. We were 2 days on, 2 days off, only half the guys. We were able to still continue to get the work done. So I think this town board and the town residents need to know that the highway department men really pulled together during this thing. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
And
Mike.
you do
Thank
plan,
you.
like we've been talking, you're going to come budget time, he'll have a plan. Now, how we're going to buy equipment over the next 6 to 10 years. We had a plan at one point in time way back when, but it kind of fell off the tracks. And we're going to get back on the tracks, and we'll have a plan. So that's Mike's job to do between now and then. Plus, work on Welfare Road culvert. He's got some bad news on that.
What's the bad news on that?
The bad news on that is the plant that was doing the, I guess, making the, what do you call that?
Structures.
The structures, but, making the mold for the structures got hit by lightning. So we're being held up now 3 to 4 weeks. Discussion was maybe to reopen the road, but by the time we reopen it, we have to close it again. So they're going to be inconvenienced by maybe 2 to 3 weeks because of it. But it is what it is. Mother Nature and God have a better plan than we do sometimes, and they're delaying it for whatever reason. Now, if it happened a couple of days before that, we wouldn't have to close the road. But once we closed the road, it was too late. They started digging up. We'd have to repatch. It's just not worth the aggravation. So those on Welfare Road, we apologize, but it's beyond our control.
Can I ask Mike a question?
Yes.
Last time you were here, we talked about Guinea Road, and maybe putting a center line.
Yeah, the striping guy, they come in the fall. So
Okay.
we're gonna address that, because the new roads that were paved, they also have to be striped. So it's very expensive to have that done. It's a big part of our maintenance budget. So we just do it once a year, and we usually do it in the fall when it's,
Cool, thanks.
after the paving season's over.
Thank you.
So on the resolution, on the motion, all in favor on the skid steer loader?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Number 5, motion to appoint Tom Frasca chairman at ARB. Mary Larkin, a longtime member of the board, became the chairman a while back. She is moving on to a new portion of her life, like I'm going to do eventually. You guys aren't going to miss me, I know. We're going to miss her. And we were going to make a motion tonight to appoint Tom Frasca as the chair, and they will move forward, and we still have an application for the position, and we have to look to fill that soon, and name him as chair so she can move on. So with that, I make that motion.
Second.
All discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next, I want to waive the rules to allow me to consider what I discussed earlier about the master plan for Route 22. So on the motion to allow it to be put on the agenda this evening? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Being unanimous on the motion itself. Authorize town supervisor to negotiate funding a Route 22 master plan zoning update with the town planner at a price not to exceed 19.5. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Do we set the public hearing for the peddling?
for what?
Did we do that already?
Which one?
The peddling?
No,
that's next.
we're gonna be doing it now, but we're gonna say, what was the date we're saying in August? Does anyone have the meeting for, second meeting in August? I don't know, anyone have the calendar?
Yeah. So second, the 21st then. Oh, I'm
August
sorry, the
20th?
yeah.
I like everyone's date better.
I'm
Okay.
looking at Friday instead of Thursday.
So we're gonna make a motion to set a public hearing for Peddling Solicitor article on August 20th.
Okay,
I'll move it. Is there a second?
second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Well, I'll remind you. Okay, next is a motion at the conclusion and, okay. This basically, we're gonna ask that we do the public comment. We're gonna have town board comment, and then I'm gonna ask to go into executive session to discuss two quick items. One is definitely possible litigation, and I forget what the other one was. Probably litigation. So, we're going to go now to the public comment, and then I'll ask that we remain for at least 5-10 minutes, and the public would not have to stay. We will not be making any decisions. Okay, recognition of public. Yes, sir. I want to thank all that attended tonight. You were all perfect, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first time we did it. We almost ran out of space. I want to thank my assistants, Miss Bell, thank you for helping me take temperatures. I now know everybody's name. I don't know what you look like, but I know your names. So if I see you in public and I don't say hello, you'll know why. And helping set up here tonight. It takes a lot to get this place set up, but we did it and got it accomplished. And the shield is not to protect me from bullets because it's not bulletproof, so, but it worked. We're leaving it there, the courts need it, and we just moved things around, and I think it worked out very well. Okay, sir.
Evening, I'm Scott Seaman. I'm here today from the Brewster School Board. I just wanted to follow up because we had our graduation on the same night as the school board meeting, so we weren't able to follow up. We wanted to follow up with Supervisor Hay, Councilman Larkin, and the rest of the board. We appreciate the work they put out on behalf of the town and getting the kids graduated. It was a very monumental event. It was a big town, the village, the county, everybody came together, and we do appreciate all the work that went into it. Thank everybody for the budget vote. And right now, we're currently putting together plans for the reopening of the schools. I've been told the governor will have information to us in the next week, and then we have to submit plans to the governor's office by the end of the month, and there'll be approval the first month of December, first month of August. And they'll let us know what's going on. So hopefully we'll have more information. And once again, thank you to the town for your support.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good evening. Matthew DeRose, Southeast resident. I don't know if you guys remember me. I came to you guys in February with a complaint about a pipe and property damage. We had just received, now in July, a reply. In the reply, the conclusion was that there was an investigation, which there wasn't, that I was aware of, since we inquired to the town about this issue. There was no engineers that came to my property to assess the situation. No investigation was done by the town of Southeast on my property since February. I'm reading this reply, and it's quite insulting because on this sentence, as I quote, there are other residents in your community who have reported leaking basements, and I kind of had a feeling that this was going to be a reply. There's a lady in my neighborhood who's obviously been complaining to the town about leaking basements, and I've actually had to call the state troopers on her because she's been trespassing on my property, and she's actually caused other residents in my neighborhood like to be scared. She's obviously a nuisance, but to put her in your reply and to dismiss our claim is absolutely insulting. Now, you say that in your response to this issue, you also say that according to the engineers who have actually, I haven't seen an engineer, and if they did, they came last year and they didn't do anything. So, and that was the prior highway superintendent, okay? And he did nothing either. So now, according to your results, high groundwater is the issue, okay? Let me tell you what high groundwater looks like, okay? I'll tell you why there's high groundwater in that area. This pipe right here. This is an 18-inch corrugated pipe. When the town superintendent, the highway superintendent came in 2019, they didn't even know that this pipe existed. They didn't even know the plans, where the plans were. You know who found it? I did. I went to the Putnam County Courthouse, right? It took me 5 minutes to find the survey of my development, right? And it says on the survey that the, DEC owns the water, because it's a DEC watershed, right? It's protected water, right? Mm-hmm. This pipe also needs to be maintained by the town of Southeast. Okay, now this pipe has been neglected for many, many years. I mean, for a pipe to do this, I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist, I'm not an engineer, but I could tell you that it takes a long time for steel to corrode like this. And you know what happens? How this happens? Salt, contamination, minerals, a lot of things, time. Well, the other thing that I want to point out in the response is that you totally dismiss the fact that this pipe carries a natural spring. This water flows all year round. I looked today to make sure on a dry day in July that it was flowing, and it's still flowing. I invite all of you guys to come over on the driest of the days, get a cup, stick your hand down in the storm drain, which I did myself, and calculated over thousands of gallons flowing through this property every day, okay? So the result was high groundwater. This is why there's high groundwater, okay? Years and years of neglect of the basic maintenance of the roads. Years and years of neglect, and this is what happens, right? And this pipe sits on the corner of my property. Now, my septic fields are maybe 50 feet from there, right? So just on the basis, if anybody has a calculator, think about it. 700 gallons a day, 365 days a year. It's a lot of water. So when the response is unusual amount of groundwater, that's the reason. That is the reason, okay? And to put the other neighbors who are actually farther away from me and actually, plot me into the same complaint is insulting. And it also tells me that you did not do your homework. Now, let me just show you. We dug a trench near this storm drain, and this is the amount of water that filled up within an hour. Okay, you want to talk about water parks? The other guy had problem getting water. Here's your water. Okay, there's another trench that we dug. Can't see it. Same thing. It filled up with 6 feet of water. Okay, that's not high groundwater. That's a failure to maintain a storm pipe that, quite frankly, that the town wasn't aware of. Because when they came in October or whatever, November of 2019, the gentleman said, "Oh, we don't have the plans for this. It's somewhere." That was the answer I got. So you know what I did? I went to the courthouse and I found it. And my initial request was to help with the cost. This cost me over $30,000. I had to take out a pension loan, okay? And I'm going to pay it now, whatever, over the course of 5 years, whatever it is. Now that's what I have to endure, right? For the town's failure and negligence to maintain this, okay? And now, since I moved in here, all I've tried to do is the right thing. We had flooding when we first moved in, literal flooding. The basement was flooded. So you know what I did? I ripped up the floors. I put new floors down, and I said, well, you know what? It's probably a freak thing, rainwater. I know that wet season, whatever it is. That October of 2019, then our septic backed up. Now I have to say, okay, now I got to rip off the floors again, and now I have to do this all over again, right? Now I got 2 little kids at home, okay? And, it's tough, all right? And, and then we come to you in February, and I understand that COVID happened, but listen, I'm a fireman. I work in the city. I worked through this whole thing, okay? We can work, okay? I understand that things happen, but it's July, okay? It's July, all right? It's unacceptable. Now, and the other thing I wanted to ask was, let me see. I got a lot of things to ask. This is one thing. This pipe, right, it runs just over 350 feet long, okay? This pipe has been a complaint for many, many years, obviously. We sent pictures to the town, we sent pictures to the highway, showing that this pipe is severed, literally severed in multiple locations, okay? So that tells me right there that what is happening? What is happening through this pipe? This pipe that flows water 365 days a year, what happens to that water? Where does it go? It goes on to the surrounding properties. You don't need an engineer or evidence or even me to hire a lawyer, which I don't even have the money to do, to sit in a court and litigate, and then everything just goes on forever, when it's an obvious case of, hey, this is the problem, can we fix this? But obviously it didn't get a response when my initial concern was to, hey, how about we get some material from the town? Of course, New York state law, you can't accept or can't receive town materials because of whatever reason. But that was my initial concern. I don't want to litigate anything. I live in this town. I'm going to be living in here for another 30 years or whatever the case may be. I don't want to have any problems with the town. But now you're forcing my hand into something that I'm either going to be here every town board meeting just asking you when you're going to fix this pipe, because it actually still isn't fixed. And you say it's on the docket, but it's still not fixed. So what's still happening? Water is still coming onto people's properties, right? So since then, I have paid over $30,000 to fix this, right? The Putnam County Health Department, according to their regulations, made us put in a curtain drain, right? This curtain drain costs over $10,000, just on the gravel alone, okay? Because we needed to mitigate the water off of our property and into the storm drain, basically diverting it around the septic fields, because we're trying to do the right thing. I mean, honestly, in the whole town, I'm sure there's so many violations all over the town of Southeast that people they just fix their things on their own, and they're dumping their septic, their field liquid effluents right into the town water supply, okay? So, I just want to make that aware that, I'm standing here before the town, and, from day one, tried to do the right thing. And all I get is the response where you butt me in, where you tag me along with harassing neighbors that I understand. A lot of these things are reported leaking basements. I get it. Like, you guys get complaints that are that are unfounded. But this is obvious, gross negligence, okay? And you could come over right now, we could all go over there right now, and I'll show you the storm drain. When they actually did come, Mike Berta came, they came the next day and they repaired the pipe, it looks great. But you know what they also forgot? The curb. What happens in the winter when the snow and the salt and everything that the guys did is all for nothing. You know what I did? I went out there and I had they actually left some concrete. I said, listen, leave it there. I'm gonna patch it up. Whatever you got, don't throw it out. I'll patch it up, make a curb. So now, you know what? When the salt comes down, maybe it's not gonna corrode the pipe again, okay? So, you know, I just don't understand why this is the response I got. And I also, I just wanna know why you cannot just file a claim with your insurance company and just take the bullet, because this is obviously the town's negligence for what has happened to our property. I want to know when this pipe is going to be fixed, the actual pipe, and you know how does the town say that they remediated this problem when the damage has been done? Okay, I'm very angry, and I'm sorry that I'm coming to you as you know, infuriated. But you got to understand that this is not a case of a leaking basement and an unfound, you know, common problem. I know what a leaking basement looks like, okay? My basement obviously flooded twice, all right? I know what's a crack in a foundation and what obvious water source is coming in onto my property, okay? You guys didn't do your homework, and now I'm standing here before you asking for your help again. So what is your response?
I can answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
You have an allegation that there was negligence on the part of the town. File a notice of claim. File a notice of claim, and then it gets turned over to the town's insurance. But I'm telling you now that from our investigation.
What investigation?
Well, you said there was never an engineer there. Our town engineer inspected that.
When?
He comes every Thursday. I don't know which day.
He comes every Thursday.
Nobody has come onto my property to investigate. How am I not aware?
Okay. Listen, obviously this is going in the realm of litigation, so we're not going to discuss that here. So if you feel you've got a claim against the town, file a notice of claim. You mentioned in your letter that you have your friendly attorney, Jay Hogan. He's a municipal lawyer. He can give you the same advice that I just gave you.
You know what he told me? He told me to file a claim, and you know what happens after that? Then I have to pay somebody, right? I have to pay somebody to fight the insurance company.
The town can't give you money.
I understand that, but you as the town.
Determination that our town was negligent, which I don't believe they were.
Okay.
Because towns can't be negligent over something they don't know about.
Okay. Well, actually, you did know about it.
No, not. What, did we not respond to it once we were told?
Actually, no.
Well, was that pipe not fixed?
It's obviously not fixed. It's still not fixed.
Well, that's, again, a difference of opinion, because I've
Okay.
discussed it with our highway.
It's not an opinion, it's a fact. The pipe is not broken. Okay.
Against the opinion of the highway department.
Okay, so I'll you know what I'll do? I'll take pictures of the pipe that's broken still, and I'll send them to the board. I'll send it to you. I'll email.
Send them to Mr. Burke.
I'll send them. I'll send them.
Mike,
You know.
not to put you on the spot, when's the last time you were out there?
I was out there when they were doing when he was putting the curtain drain in, and I have a picture here on my phone. And Mr. Duros is right, there is a separation in the pipe. But when Gary DeVito opened this pipe up, the pipe is in perfect condition at Mr. Duros' property, where they hooked their curtain drain into our pipe. There's a spot further down.
Was that allowable to hook in the first place? If he didn't do it, the previous owner, did they hook in illegally?
No, he got a permit to hook into our pipe.
Okay.
No, so I met with Gary DeVito out there when he did that.
Okay.
And the pipe here, by Mr. DeRosa's property is in perfect condition. Down further, there's a spot where the top of the pipe is open, which doesn't impact his property. And since I took office, when the original complaint happened, at the beginning where the pipe was bad by his property, we went and fixed it, as soon as we can. Now, I have a picture of the pipe, but it's only a small section that, where they hooked up his curb drain to it. And, you know, even Mr. DeVito said that there's, you know, the pipe is fine, and Mr. DeRosa is correct. There's further down, there's a spot in the pipe that the top of the pipe is open, that I'm aware of, but, other than the one spot down further, I'm not aware of anything else being bad on that piece of pipe.
Well,
But I will go inspect it with the town engineer.
okay. Make an appointment with your, are you around Thursdays? That's the only day it comes, if you're around. We'll go out and look at it.
I just want to express my frustration that, you know, there's claims, you know, being made about, you know, leaking basements, and they,
But unfortunately, sir, that is,
That was brought up because there's evidence of high groundwater in that area, in the neighborhood that you live in.
right.
It had nothing to do with anybody in particular. There are other incidents where high groundwater has been.
The last board meeting that I was at, you guys mentioned somebody's name that lives in my neighborhood. Was that not on camera?
That's certainly one of the people that's on the radar screen, for sure.
I don't
Okay.
think we ever mentioned a person by name.
Yes, you have.
I want to hear that. I don't believe we would mention a person by name.
You did. It was the exact lady. You had actually had a conversation with Mr. Burdick about this same person. I don't want to name anybody's name, but
What was the date of the meeting? I want to go back and listen to it.
I don't know. I mean, we can go back to February, so
February 3rd, I think was the date.
we can go to the meetings from February. But,
3rd?
yeah, so you're telling me to file a claim. I'm telling you that I can't, I already took out money to do the work.
I understand that. And if you're right and we're wrong, you're gonna get reimbursed ultimately, but I can't make a determination. This board can't make a determination. When there's a question of fact, question of whether or not the town is indeed negligent under the standards that apply to municipalities. And I'm sure that Mr. Hogan could advise you on that.
I understand that. Is there anything else besides going the route? Because this is my first avenue of not going the route of litigating with the town. I mean,
Well, in fact, you'd be litigating with the insurance company, it's not so much.
I understand.
You file a notice of claim. That's the way it's done.
But I mean, as an attorney,
If in fact the town was negligent in some way, shape, or manner, it's gonna be our insurance policy that steps in.
I understand.
It's not- we can't just write a check.
I understand that. But as an attorney, you understand that in New York State, I mean, for me to spend money to get the same amount of money back doesn't really make any sense, right?
Well, I know there are attorneys out there that take cases on contingency. So I don't know what more I can tell you.
Can you find out when this pipe?
When it was put in?
No, I know when it was put in, actually.
The new
when-
one or the old one?
Okay, so the section, the basin was repaired. It's only a matter of time when now the curb caves in, because where the property meets the curb hasn't been repaired. Like I said before, they came, they used whatever mortar, the hydraulic cement to protect the pipe, but I was there because, you know, you have to watch people work because materials go to waste all the time. They were gonna just take up and leave, but the hole is still there. The hole on the ground where all the road sediment and salt and everything that leads to this is still there. I mean, you guys mentioned other areas, Brewster Hill. They have roads caving in. If they maintain the roads, this won't happen. So, you know, you say you remediated it, but it really, I think I remediated putting a ginormous curtain drain If I didn't get down into this drainage ditch myself, lift the grate myself and get down and look at this, the town engineer, the old highway superintendent wouldn't have found this, okay? And, you know, from day one, you know, my intentions were, I understand septic systems fail, but the amount of water that was on my property, it's unacceptable.
Well, I thought you said earlier too, and again, I'm not going to get into the legalities or whatever, because I don't personally understand, but I heard you mention something about the flowing of the water. It's a spring. The town's not responsible for spring water. So I don't know how it's hooked up. I'll leave it to the experts. We got Mike Burdick will go look again. But if your problem is spring water, I don't know if we're responsible for spring water.
But if it's in the town waterway, then you are responsible.
I don't know if we are. We are not responsible for an act of God or Mother Nature. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, but if you have a spring water problem, I don't think that's the town's problem.
Yeah.
Again, you have to do what you have to do. I feel bad for you. I'm sorry it took as long as it did. And I know I asked Mike to go out there and look. But again, when you mention the word spring water, I do have a concern that that may not be our problem. And you're saying it's running like, say, 24/7, 365. That's not us. That is not the town. So I don't know how it gets hooked up, who's responsible. But Mike, I'll have you look and go with Tom and look again. Yeah. But if it's spring water, it could be a problem. But I'm not an attorney.
Right.
Sorry.
So water coming through the town's pipe, entering a storm basin.
No.
Wherever
If it's
from.
coming, if it's a basin, but if it's spring water that's outside of that basin, that could be a problem. And that's not us. If it's a storm drain.
Right.
And
Which
it goes
what it
behind
is.
all your properties, and I'm not sure how, if, when it's gonna be. We got similar problems because, I mean, they're digging up pipes all the time. The difficult problem with properties like your own, we got, 4, 5, 6 neighbors, and I'm just not sure how the easement works and whatever, and when it's proposed to be repaired. Our pipes will be repaired, exactly when, I don't know, and Mike is gonna have to work on a schedule to replace a lot of them. So let him go out there and look. Again, if it's spring water, I question it, but again, let the attorneys do what they have to do. Mike will do his part with Tom Fenton again, but again, if it's spring water.
You also mentioned something about curbing. If there's some curbing that could be done to remediate.
Well, yeah, that's what we're gonna have to look at. If there's additional road water that's running off our road onto his property and it's not going into the catch basin, then obviously that's a highway department concern, and we would have to address that.
Which I think is what Mr. DeRose said, something about.
Well, that was a minor portion of the grand scheme of things.
Certainly that is something that the town could do within the town.
Correct. I agree. That's perfectly fine. I mean, that like I said, that's minor from the amount of water that was coming through this storm basin. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's in the town of Southeast Storm Basin through pipes. And like I said, I have the survey from 1955 when these corrugated pipes were installed. And on the survey, it says that you can go to the Putnam County Courthouse and
I got them recently, trust me.
so on there it says it's the New York City watershed. We're in the Croton Falls, I believe, watershed area. And and it says on the survey that the town of Southeast it has to maintain
We
all
do have,
the-
there's a right of way. I don't know how wide it is, because again, when.
15 feet, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and also I wanted to mention that there is also a septic reimbursement program
Where?
for the Hudson, for all New York.
No more.
I'm sorry?
There used to, when I was on the Putnam County Legislature, there was a septic maintenance repair program.
This is fairly recent.
Now, this was discontinued. There's no money in the watershed monies that the county has, but
All
they
right.
also gave the EOH up in Patterson,
Okay.
that there's no money for septic repair.
I mean, I was just looking at the website the other day, and
Which one?
I'm sorry?
Which one? I mean, again,
I think it's a fairly new thing, but we're not technically, we miss the, we're in one of those gray areas, because yes, we are in the Croton Falls watershed, but we're not, our footage is so far away from the actual reservoir. So, but there, my reason by saying this is that the storm pipe that flows behind my property, that we had to mitigate our water to stay away from, and our septic fields had to be installed by the Putnam County rules and regulations to avoid contamination to the water. The storm drain feeds Peach Lake, which is inside the Croton Falls watershed.
Yes.
So I thought that maybe that would be a loophole to get this program money. This, I can look it up on I don't have my phone on me, but it's fairly new, but we just didn't meet the criteria. And, and things like that are things that I would be open, to, if there was any way possible to get some sort of help in that direction. That's the better route that I would take, because I'm trying to do the right thing, and we're just hitting roadblock after roadblock. I spent $30,000 to do the right thing, and now I'm going to spend another $30,000 to litigate this problem, which I don't have the money for, frankly. So, I thank you for your time.
Well, Mike's here this evening. He'll get in touch with Tom Fenton. They'll go out there and look. They're going to look into the drain, which is our responsibility. If there's a way to find out about an aquifer that's not our responsibility, they'll look at it. And I do believe you could probably file suit on your own without even an attorney, just file notice of claim against the town. I better watch what I say, because
Right, I understand.
But there's things that you can do that you don't necessarily need an attorney, but we just can't write the check. That's
I understand.
unfortunate. Well, no, it's kind of fortunate, because everybody be here, because there's a lot of people with similar problems, and it's not really ours.
Right.
But Mike is here tonight. He'll come out there. He'll bring Tom Fenton, which is the town engineer, again. I don't know what they looked at the first time. If you're home, fine. If not, they'll tell you when they'll be there. Look, and then they'll write you up a report.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry for the delay. Anyone else? Town board.
We have waste pickup or e-waste this week, this
Yeah.
Saturday. E-waste drop off on
Okay.
Saturday.
E-waste is this Saturday. We, usually when e-waste is to be picked up and there's a holiday on that weekend, like let's say the holiday's July 3rd, it was actually July 4th, which was a Saturday. It's the following week. There's two times a year, now that we're back on the regular schedule. One's already gone by. There's one more coming up. I think it might be Labor Day, where we will not do it that particular weekend. So look at the town website, but it's the first Saturday of every month, except if there's a holiday involved in it. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to make a motion to close this portion of the meeting, go into executive session as soon as we get the camera person out of here. There'll be nothing reached by the town board. I just want to make them aware of two quick things. Thank you.
Second.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.